Yeah. Okay. So the first one is discuss the key concepts that had an impact on your understanding of the project completed in this class. I'm not too good at like the key concepts, but I will say what I've learned in the class. Sorry, hold on. Lost this. Okay. So my whole thing that I learned was capturing you got to capture the brand's identity and the message all into one logo. So for me, I wasn't really keeping things simple. So it was really hard for me to learn to redefine everything and still hit the mark. You still want to hit the message and let people know what your brand is without just the name. Because mine is Mandy Madison. So I think that was something I learned. So using AI, I learned too, and doing a lot of research.
For me, I think the video that the podcast that we watched was interesting with the semiotics,
Mhm.
uh, basically like signs and their meanings. And the lady, she gave an example I thought that stood out as far as like Europe being the scene for a lot of superhero movies and um, basically the superhero, which is kind of I guess like American if you want to say that, kind of coming in and saving the day, making kind of Europe look like the person or country, I would say, that needs saving. So for me, what I got from that was the narrative, I would say, that's created and how I would say with logos, it really is whatever it is you want it to be. For instance, Nike, think of a lot of brands, Uber, they don't necessarily have any meaning until the brand or product is experienced or talked about or perceived by customers. So I don't know. I go along the brand of thought that you know a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. If you threw a circle with 8 dots, and whatever, if you associate it with that experience, it'll be just as impactful to me, in my opinion. Uh, and based on what I've seen as far as research is concerned, we put a lot of, I guess, time and effort into, you know, uh, celebrating, previous design works. I think of Paul Rand's. It just pops up the FedEx logo, and it's like, oh my God, it's so amazing, and it's so cutting edge, and it's just like, is it?
Yeah.
Come on, let's be honest. You kind of see the same, I would say, use of design principles. And to me, it's more so salesman talk than it is actual, like, to me, good design.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think to sum it up, like that aspect, the concept covered there with the podcast and the semiotics, really, I guess, brought that to light for me. I've felt that for a long time where, you could kind of throw as Uber has done, just make up a word. And, I don't know how much research had went into Uber in the name and the brand name that should represent a transportation company. But I,
Yeah.
I, I just can't imagine that it was just like millions of dollars of research and, all lots of revisions. And sometimes people just slap a name on something to associate it. And based on the experience and the quality of that experience or product, the name is just now synonymous with that experience. So it kind of doesn't really matter in some degrees, You're not going to put, I would say, names or logos that are controversial,
Mhm.
or go against what it is that experience is supposed to be. But for the most part, if you're playing it, um, not safe, but along the lines of the product or what it should be, I think you're successful if the product and the experience are good.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was semiotics was probably the biggest concept that I took away from it. Everything else to me was just kind of redundant in the sense of design and like utilizing just stalls. And it's like, man, another thing I think too is when we talk about design and like designing logos, if everyone has the same approach to designing logos and all logos start to look the same,
Hmm.
thus we eliminate the differentiation that we're supposed to be providing for our clients. So for me, one thought process I thought was like, wow, well, maybe you shouldn't use all design principles or all design elements in every project. One of the schools of thought that I've kind of adopted is selecting one or the most two or three to highlight because there's so many variations and combinations that you can go with, a line, shape, texture, all these different color, right? Like all these different elements that you can examine. And then you break that into principles, just styles, closure. But if you streamline and say, well, this is the way it's supposed to be, we're going to start with this, we're going to start with that, and then we're going to do this. It's like, well, how do you prevent everyone from looking the same
Hmm.
and being
Yeah.
trendy, I should say? Are you familiar with that and like the design culture of like how things trend? Like everybody's doing flat design now. So
No.
we're gonna do flat design.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
I'm researching the wrong things. Need to
yeah.
research the trends of design.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard because I would
Hmm.
say you kind of stay away from the trends because by the time you see them, they're on to the next thing. Like
Yeah.
early adopters don't look at current trends. That's just not how it works.
Hmm.
They're too busy looking forward. They're
Yeah.
past that. Like, oh, they were doing flat design. Now they're on to that next thing. Are you familiar with Pantone?
No.
So Pantone is a color matching system that all designers use. Whether you're in Japan or wherever, it's just basically allowing you to have consistent color. So, for instance, you are where you are right now,
Yeah.
and I'm here. So, if I want to communicate to you, like, okay, I want to use this specific Pantone green. In order for me to do that, I would need to give you a physical representation of that, like on a substrate that I'm going to print on, so that you could see it, how it looks, the amount of green it is, and all the details. Because
Hmm.
there's no possible way for me to send that through a computer,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
right? Because printers, computer screens, everybody's is different.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a slight difference and sometimes a major one. So what they do is they standardize color throughout the industry, whether you're automotive, interior design, graphic design, industrial design, all areas, excuse me, all areas of design. And they allow you to have a matching system for that reason or for those purposes. But what I was going to say to correlate that is that they're always projecting a new Pantone color of the year. So if you type in Pantone color of the year 2025, it'll have one, but that will represent the current trend, right? So like you're not going to use that to now say, well, what are we going to be doing in 2026? They're already doing that.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like early adopters versus late adopters, and how if you're trying to be cutting edge, you can't be looking at what they've done already in that
Yeah.
sense. I mean, as far as your main research, you should
Yeah.
be progressive, saying, well, we've moved past this and they've done this as a base, but now I've noticed this is where it's headed.
Yep.
So yeah, that was, I would say, some of the rationale that I have pertaining to that. You know, um, some of the stuff that we cover for this these readings these past few weeks was kind
Yeah.
of that like design, just outs, teaching, I would say designers or people who aren't familiar with some of these things, how to use them
Mhm.
without saying not to use all of them at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you'll make a big mess using all the crowns in the crayon box.
Yep. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's pretty. They kept saying simplicity, simplicity, which is very true. I think early on in my design career, you kind of learn that. Um, for me, for instance, Photoshop, right? When you start to use a certain tool for the first time, you
Hmm.
want to do all the amazing things that that tool can do. And with design, I guess you gradually learn that less is more, and
Yes.
you visually see that, right? Because in the beginning, using like emboss and all these special effects, right? You're trying to do
Hmm.
everything, and you come up with just a really bad design, you
Yeah.
know. Versus, I would say simplicity, where you're using just basic shapes and just out theories and principles. And in that same vein, I would say also try to get away from your standard designer approaches and maybe go back to some of the basics. Like for this project, I've done more illustrative work, you know,
Yeah.
and I've done just outs, for past projects. I'm like, you don't do that every project. I mean, I don't think that that's smart.
Hmm.
You highlight certain principles that you're gonna utilize or certain elements, and you highlight them. You know, scale, line, like just different elements and principles. But yeah, that's. I'm sorry, that was long winded, but that's
No,
my
no,
whole
no.
takeaway from the concepts. I'm just
No,
kind of
that's
sharing with you.
okay.
The
I'll,
semiotics was probably the biggest one.
yeah. No, that's okay. You explained it very good for me. Sometimes I have to ask my husband to explain things a little different for me too. So, thank you.
No problem. That's what it's supposed to be, a design discussion about our
Yeah.
topics.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
do you have any things that were new to you in the readings that you found kind of interesting?
No, see, when it comes to the reasons, I kind of just skim them. So I don't really sit down and focus on them too much, but I kind of just take what I skim and Google it and see if I can come up with like have a video pop up or something to show me the example instead of just reading it. So when we did the games at the end of the podcast was my
Mm,
favorite because I was
okay,
able to
skill builders.
yes, I loved it. I'm really very, very good at spacing the letters, and I thought that was cool to know about myself.
Yeah, I thought that was cool that they have a game. Like for me, it's always been like go straight into Illustrator and use the pen tool and
Yeah.
practice the Bezier curves and different stuff. And then kerning, using stuff like InDesign or, those kind of like tools, paragraph styles and different stuff like that. So for me, I'm like, all right, that's redundant, people. I'm moving on. Where's the new stuff?
Yeah.
That's what I want. Give me the stuff that I can grow from. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's cool going back to the basics. But I say line, pen tool and Bezier's like that's going back for me in the basics.
Yeah. I would have liked a little bit more like advanced tools, a little bit more challenging, but I like the idea of where they were going on try to help you shape these logos and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I've found most of the design courses are fit for like I would say in between of advanced and beginner.
Yep.
And for those who are more advanced, it's kind of like, okay, well, where's the value, I would say, for us?
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you want to be able to grow as well. And I think that's for me something that I've thought about as well. Like, what can I do? What can I grow from? The
Yeah.
content and some of the topics I would say, like semiotics, uh, that are introduced were interesting. What was your thoughts about color when they talked about like the color psychology and why this color means this, and
That
what are
has
your thoughts?
always been very interesting to me. First off, like red in some countries means death. But for over here, like in the US, we use black as death. So colors in general is it's tricky because I don't want to use the wrong color on a logo that I'm like, oh, this color is perfect. And then someone's like, no, that color means like depressy, not up and hippie-ish. But it's like
No,
shapes too.
that's
You want
interesting.
the right shapes too.
I think it's interesting because they talked about the stop sign, right? And how like there's symbolism in the octagon, and I'm just like, man, this sounds like sales talk. Like that octagon wouldn't mean anything if it weren't associated with something that we interact with every day, right?
Yes.
That goes along the lines of like a logo is a logo, until it's associated with an experience, and if there's no association with the experience, the logo can be anything. It doesn't really
Yep.
matter. Like I look at Nike and I'm just like, there's to me nothing brilliant. You could sell it if you want, and really like pitch it and say how amazing this simple shape is, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it's actually the product, and it's
Yeah.
actually the videos and what customers are getting inspired by that creates the value for that actual swoosh. So it's
Yep.
not the reverse, you
Yeah.
know?
And that's the only
And
reason
for
I
me,
like the swoosh is because I'm like, oh, that's Nike. I love their clothes. I love their shoes.
yeah, they're really design forward. I remember when they started to like work with the Oregon Ducks, basically designing their football uniforms. If you're not familiar, it's a college football team,
Hmm.
and they were like doing like alternates of different uniforms, helmets. They were really going crazy with design, and that's honestly the first time I've seen, I would say, a professional college team make use of a company to really like make themselves different. As far as
Yeah.
uniforms, they come out there and they got like silver helmets with like color schemes were just really nice, and you could see that effort was being put into like designing their uniforms and thought. Whereas other teams they just kind of have their colors and that's their uniform. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Boston Red Sox just recently started switching up. They do a blue and yellow one for the marathon, or they do the green one for the Green Monster there.
Yeah, I think if you follow, I can only use sports as an example because I see it with the uniforms.
Yeah.
So very much like the logos, they gave us example of like Pepsi starting out, and this is where the logo
Oh,
was, and
yeah.
then this is how it is now, and it's super simple. Uh, Teams kind of do the same thing, where it's like they used to wear the long socks with stripes in them.
Yep.
So sometimes modern teams go back to those old traditions and kind of mix them up to create options for like uniform schemes. And I guess it opens up further possibilities. And I say all that to say that I also feel and understand through research that it's more for consumer entertainment as well, and not just the brand, you know?
Yep.
Like I want to see the alternative all black uniforms of the San Francisco 49ers just because I'm like, whoa, who thought of that? This looks so good,
Yeah.
right? You don't see teams doing that all the time. And then when one team does it, the other ones pull out their repertoire of like different color schemes. And it's beautiful because you start to see why color theory makes sense when you see, let's say, for instance, NFL teams. You see their emblems, their decals, and
Hmm.
their mascots. They all follow color theory. They have complementary colors at play, right? They are doing these things, and as someone not in design, you don't really notice it, or you don't really know what to call it,
Yeah.
right? You know that there's a color scheme at play that all of the teams are using. or shades of a color scheme. So yeah, design I enjoy it. It gets pretty deep. It's like a
Yes.
rabbit hole of funness.
Yeah, I'm loving it more and more. I think it gets harder and harder, and then I'm like, no, this just gets better and better. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it as a sense of growing, I would say, because I can honestly look back and remember when I first learned Illustrator, right, and
Mhm.
how difficult it was because it's like so counterintuitive, just make simple shapes. But
Yeah.
then when you're more advanced and you're like doing different stuff and you've mastered the pen tool and you've done this and you know how to use effects and all these different things, merging softwares, all of that, you look back and you're like, wow, there's a lot of development there. So you kind of have some empathy for those who are just learning it because you were there as well.
Yeah.
Do you have your mastery journal link? If you want to look at them, we can take a look at what you've done from
I
week
have.
one to current.
I don't know if I put everything on it. I
No,
just
that's not a big deal.
recently got
Just
some
it's
things
whatever
done.
whatever you've covered to this point. I mean, I haven't put my week three up other than the initial step one revision. So yeah,
Yeah.
we just wanting to discuss the design, as far as your process, and I'll share with you mine.
Yeah. I think we have a couple minutes left on here. It only lets you record for so long.
Really?
Yeah.
Heck.
So I'm not sure if it'll cut on out on us, but we can try.
Will the link die? Do you know the link that you submitted, or would you be able to re-enter?
Oh no, if it just shuts off, it'll still save.
No, I'm saying the link. Like if it shuts off, can we go back into the link itself and start over, or start again?
I'm not sure. I think you'd have to create a new one.
Ah. Mm,
But I can at least I'll at least just show I want to show my last one so far at least. These are my last final six.
okay, 1 minute. Let me open up a new tab. Okay, so you said your last six.
Yeah, so far I've picked the butterfly and the cassette tape to redefine, and I've taken out so many of the flowers and I made the name just bigger with the tape bigger. And then my
I,
butterfly I completely changed. I don't, yeah.
I love the number five. If
Hmm.
my perspective matters any like that, that's really nice. I
Yeah,
like
that
I like how
yeah.
you tied the like I get music, so that's yeah, and I
Yes.
like the delicate flowers, like that's and then uh the tape uh
Yeah, the tape reel, yeah. The yeah.
yeah, I forget what you call it, but it's like you wind it up. I can't
Yeah.
think of it, but the material that you use to wind it up is that's pretty cool that you you did a little script. That's pretty nice. I like that. That's probably my favorite out of
That's
all of them. It's the
yeah,
strongest to me.
it is. The rest of them you can tell that I was just goofing off. I had no point. There
That's
was
okay.
nothing.
You got something though. You got something
Yeah.
solid. Number five is solid to
Yeah.
me.
That is my favorite. I redefined it and now I'm excited to keep going with that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of man. There's a lot you can go. You haven't even jumped into colors yet. So
No,
colors,
yeah, I just barely did. I redefined it on a different page and yeah.
and I think that that's where you know it's successful if it's black and white and it communicates what it is that you want. You have something.
This is it with
Oh,
color so far. This
okay.
one's my favorite.
Wow. I
Yeah.
really like the stroke on the tape.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be thick. So like usually there's like a thin, it's really thin that tape. So you use thick tape.
Yeah.
Or ribbon, I'm gonna call it ribbon.
Ribbon. There we go. Ribbon.
It
Yeah.
borders between a ribbon and the tape, which is really cool.
Yeah, that one's my favorite.
But in Mandy Madison, I would just kind
Mhm.
of like see if I can make sure it aligns on the tape or
Yeah.
more to where it wouldn't hang
Yeah,
off.
agree there. It definitely, yeah. I need to
Or you
figure
could do a
out
knockout. You could
how
do a
to,
knockout where you remove everything that's pink
yeah.
out of the ribbon and it just leaves the type if you're familiar with how to
Oh,
do that.
okay.
So that would be a Gestalt's principle approach, right? So it create closure. So that would
Yeah.
be good for your rationale, right? Like, I use Gestalt's principles, and you use the knockout basically of the type Mandy Madison. And I would say it leaves a little for the viewer to explore, and make connections themselves. Like,
Yeah.
like, oh, wow, you know how they celebrate Paul Rand's Arrow in
Yeah.
FedEx? That would be your
Yes.
version, the Mandy Madison name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think personally, I would say the middle one, if you were to do the knockout and line it up,
Hmm.
it would be finished to me. Just because you have embellishments like different shadings to show like reflection of the tape.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what this one was until I made it black. And then I was like, maybe I should put it back.
No, you did a good job with it. It gives the
Oh,
illusion of realism when you see the different light and how light's hitting the ribbon. So the middle
yeah.
one to me, I would say is the strongest. Um, Now, as far as application, one of the things you might want to consider is how far that ribbon goes out, like how wide, because it might limit you on certain applications. Like if you do a sign, that ribbon being too long, the first one might make more sense because it's, I would
Yep.
say, within the bounds of the actual cassette.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep. No, yeah. Make it so it's more, it lines up with the cassette. And it's not out about. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first one and two are to me, with those considerations, the knockout, um, you should try it. I think
Yeah.
you would really like it.
I'm gonna have to. We have 9 minutes, so I'm gonna let you share yours
No problem.
because I'm
And
very interested.
share, send requests.
Yep. Allow.
Multiple presenters can share. Okay. Can you see?
Yep, there it goes. Perfect.
All right, so I'll zip down to
It's right. You did the hockey one, right?
I did.
Yes.
So this was week one logo sketches. Now
Yep.
for me, I guess did the logo from the previous class for the look
Yep.
and feel. And like I said, it made total sense to me. And then also had the instructor say that that was fine as well. So I kind of stayed with that concept. For my sketches, I just want to kind of or wanted to expound upon it and see where else we could kind of take it and
Hmm.
if any additions would make sense. So these are some of the things that I did. Um, the word rooks is also a Persian word, but it's spelled Rukhs. And that word means chariot.
Oh,
I know in a previous like critique, it was some mention of like the spelling of the words and like how it should be spelled correctly.
yeah.
And one of the things that I understand is that with a brand, you're able to make it what it should be. And for me, that was the RUHKS, right?
Hmm.
And for me, that signified the brand that I'm creating with the hockey brand. So these are the number two and 29 and 30 were the three that I felt made sense. to carry forward. And, I mentioned that through the rationale, kind of
Hmm.
stand in line with affiliation, because the brand and um, I guess the entire logo and everything was representative of that affiliation. And like, I wanted to, I guess, hit home with that.
Yeah.
So here we go. And me basically revisiting uh, concepts that I had previously created for the project, because it's, to me, it's the same thing again, which was weird for me. It's like I've done this, now I'm asked to do a logo again, which I've already created. But this was what I shared as far as like the type choice and imagery from, I would say, the look and feel,
Hmm.
which stayed consistent. So ultimately, I just found that it made sense to stay with what I had as opposed to trying to create something completely new, which didn't, make sense. I used a lot of research into trademarks was to me very important to
Hmm.
confirm a lot of the things that I understand already, but just finding some proof to kind of show, you know, the importance of it. Because I would say, as designers, not everyone is informed on like the purpose of a logo.
Yep.
And this trademark research that I presented in the rationale kind of helps add some kind of breath to uh, not just the aesthetic logo, but functional. Here are the sketches, and I guess me beating up on myself as to
Yeah.
like why
Markups.
certain
Yeah.
ones didn't work. And I came up with these six that I would, further. And once again, the 29 and 30 to me would consistent in that way where it's like, okay, I'm sticking with these. These make
Yep.
sense. And here are my refined logos from those six.
Oh,
I
wow.
chose to go, yeah, with the first one, I felt like I like it, but it didn't
Yeah.
hit affiliation. So when I think about affiliation, you need multiple components or elements,
Hmm.
not a singular element. So to me, that's how my train of thought is, where it's just one rook.
Yep.
And a lot of my rationale discusses two rooks and how they interact, much along the lines of affiliation. So I said, no, that's not it. And I like the edginess of the spikes and the helmet and, Las Vegas, just trying some different stuff. And then we arrive at what I decided to further, which was two rooks holding hockey sticks,
Yeah.
drawing
I-
some correlation to hockey, chess, as well as affiliation.
that one is
So
the best.
I appreciate that. That
Yeah.
that that confirms. That's another
Love
confirmation,
that
right, of
one.
my
Yeah.
research and So yeah, I like that one as well. And
Hmm.
that was some of the rationale that I introduced and broke them down to my options, explained why each one did what it did. And here we are at week 3 for the refinements, just
Yep.
basically nailing down some strengths and weaknesses and potential uses. Uh, the potential uses I thought was a very imperative component because uh, as a designer, most designers don't consider how those things will be utilized, whether it be a banner, web, whether it be like printed advertisement, like what's the
Yeah.
final end product
Yep.
uh, is a major consideration. So I just kind of shared some things, signage, plaques,
No, that's
just
a good,
different
yeah.
things.
That's a good idea because when it's printed on something different, it can come out different too. Especially
Yeah, that's
like you
the
said, color. That's a big
yeah.
one.
That's why I gave that example earlier with the tape being a little wide. Like you
Yes.
start to think, well, if it's on a slender banner, now what?
Yeah, and now, but it makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I am now. I'd say, build upon the fourth design with the two rooks,
Hmm.
give my
Yep.
black and white, and also a color, and yeah, submit today.
Yep. That's a good one. I can't wait to see what that how that one comes out.
I think you've seen a good example of it. I would say in previous look and feels. If you were to look at, yeah, like it's like to me, it's like reiterating what you spoke about already, and
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
finding more rationale to talk about what it is you've done. But huh, I give it what they
Well,
will.
nice. That's awesome.
I'm gonna stop sharing. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we only got like a minute left, but it was nice meeting with you again.
oh, no problem, no
You
problem.
I like the way you explain things. I feel like you explained them to me very so I can understand everything better.
Well, I mean that's my job as a designer, right? Like if you're a
Yeah.
client, I have to be able to communicate with you, right?
Yeah,
I have to explain Pantone and why it's important that we use that. Because
exactly.
we don't want different shades of a color. Like if you were to ask for a logo and you're like, oh, we love this Pantone green, and I send you images, and then when you get the final, you're like, this isn't Pantone green, this is
No.
forest green, right?
Yeah.
Like
Then you're really gonna be mad.
bad deal. You should have communicated that with the client.
Yeah.
But
But it was really nice meeting with you. Like, thank you for
likewise,
showing up.
likewise. No, definitely. And good luck with your project.
Yeah, you too.
And I think you're in a good position with that 1 and 2.